being the very first Asian convention of its kind. We appreciate all of you being part of the Leadership Day prior to the convention officially starting tomorrow. Can we give each other a big hand? Give yourself a big round of applause for being part of this very first leadership training event that is happening right here in Macau. I'm just curious, do we have anybody here visiting from Taiwan? Anybody from Taiwan here? About tomorrow. Can you all hear the translation? Okay, translation. Everybody know about the translation? There is a channel that you can connect. We have a screen that shows the channel. Can you show that one more time? We have a channel that you could listen in. You could connect to listen in Mandarin. Yeah, you could listen in Korean. You could listen in Cantonese, and you could listen in English throughout the training in your preferred language. Just by connecting to the right channel of the translation. So if you don't have it yet, that is the signal that you want to listen to. If you want to make sure that you are listening to the right language during the event. Now, Taiwan is really cool because tomorrow, November 1st, our first day of the official convention, the very first Asian convention for Riman, marks 2-year anniversary for the Taiwan expansion because even though we launched December 5th, we did our very first presentation event in Taiwan, in Taipei, on November 1st of 2023. And all of this has happened in less than 2 years of time. It's really because of incredible leaders from Taiwan. Can we give all the Taiwan leaders that's here right now, team leaders and directors, let's hear, how about from Hong Kong and China? Do we have anybody here from Hong Kong? Thank you for welcoming us to your beautiful, beautiful city of Macau. It's absolutely beautiful. As many of you know, my home is Las Vegas, and I have to say that now whenever I talk to people about Macau, and whenever I talk to people about Las Vegas, now I just introduce Las Vegas as an old version of Macau. It is just so nice here. Everything is so beautiful here, and it is absolutely fabulous, and we are so excited that we could be hosting our very first Asian convention in Macau. Can we give our Hong Kong and China leadership a big hand for their leadership, for what they have done, what they have established in the market? Can we give them a big hand? Thank you very much. And how about Malaysia? Do we have anybody from Malaysia? Wow, many people came from Malaysia. We appreciate the leaders from Malaysia, with the expansion being the third marketplace of Asia expansion. Malaysia just 6 months ago, what you've been able to create in Malaysia in such a short amount of time is absolutely incredible. Let's give all the leaders from Malaysia a big hand for your leadership and everything that they created. How about Singapore? Do we have anybody from Singapore? Oh, wow. Many people from Singapore. Obviously, our fourth marketplace that we've expanded into. It is absolutely incredible what we've been able to do in Singapore marketplace. Let's give all the leaders from Singapore a big hand. Thank you so much for your leadership and everything you're creating in the marketplace. How about the most recent market that we've expanded into? Literally less than 1 month ago, official start date of October 1st, Philippines. Do we have anybody from the Philippines here? Oh, wow. Many of you are from Philippines. We welcome you to official first Riman Convention. And what a perfect time. Philippines started just literally a month prior to the convention. Can we give Philippine leaders a big dance and congratulate them for successfully starting the Riman business in the Philippines. And I know that we, of course, have, even though Korea will be hosting their own convention in December for Korea Marketplace, but we do have some leaders from Korea that's visiting. Do we have anyone from Korea here? Can I hear you if you're from Korea? Couple people. Or just Korean people are shy. They were shaking, waving their hands without making any sound. Can you give leaders from Korea that's visiting our able to come a big hand? Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for starting Riman in Korea first. Now, I want to briefly share with you some expectation of what we're going to be going over during this leadership training. Let me ask you a question. How many of you believe that leadership is extremely important, that influences and determines the size of success you can have in Riman business? How many of you guys agree with that? Leadership is very important, and we want to increase our leadership. We want to become better leaders. We want to understand how to create the right culture, how to build a team properly. How many of you would love to take your leadership and your team's leadership to the next level? Anybody? Anybody? Raise your hand if you want to raise your leadership, your team leadership to the next level. Okay. Now, today's session is going to be focusing on leadership training. You're going to be hearing from National Director, Associate Mr. Chris Kim, our very first National Director, all the way from North America. You're going to be hearing from National Director, Mr. Steve Young from North America. You're going to be hearing from National Director, Mr. Jackie Chen from Taiwan Marketplace. You're going to be hearing from National Director, Amber Liu from Taiwan Marketplace. And the National Directors in Riman Asia, they're going to be sharing with you their ideas and stories and strategies that's going to help you and your team to increase your leadership to the next level. I believe that more you can learn and more you can grow, more opportunities that you will open up for yourself in Riman opportunity. And that's what we're going to be focusing on today. But just to do a little exercise, I want to briefly do something fun with you. Let's take a look at these numbers. There's numbers here starting from 1 all the way to 45. I want to just do this exercise where let's just take 1 minute of time. Let's take 1 minute of time and see if you can count and find numbers in the order. Starting from 1, look for 2, look for 3, and if you can count in 1 minute, in 60 seconds, let's see how many numbers you could find in just 1 minute of time. Now, if you've done this exercise with me before, don't participate. If you have never done an exercise like this before, I encourage you guys to actually participate. Okay, so let's start. You count of 3. Let's take 1 minute, and you start from 1, and just so you can start fresh, I'll go back. So you have to start over from 1, and let's start from 1, and when you move forward, if you find the next number, as soon as you finish, raise your hand, and at the end of the minute, let's see how many numbers you have found up to that point. Okay, let's start in 3, 2, 1. Start with 1. Do you see it? 2. Do you see it? It's there. I see some of your eyes, and I can tell you're stuck at 4. 4's right there. All right. Do you see it? Do you see all the numbers? Okay. All right. Oh, I see some of you get stuck at 5. 5 is right there. Yeah, just a little to the left. You see it? Go up a little bit. It's right there. I'm just kidding. All right. We have 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Okay. All right. We got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now let me ask you a question. You could shout out the number. What number did you find up to? Anybody want to tell me what number you're at? 45? You finished. She's a genius. Can we give a genius okay. Raise your hand if you didn't line up to 45. Okay. More than half of them. Now, what the point of this exercise is when we don't know where to look, even though it's all there, it takes longer and sometimes you don't get to finish the task. But if you just have a simple instruction like this, and if you just draw a line, and if I tell you the secret and say that, hey, it is in the order, start from the left and go to the right, and each number in order is in each box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's in the order. You just go to your right box, and the next number is going to be there. If we have an instruction like that, let's just try it and see if you can actually find the numbers and count all the way up to 45. Let's start one more time. As soon as you finish up to 45, raise your hand and make sounds. I want to see how many tickets you do it. Let's start one more time. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Now, knowing that it's in the box and there's an instruction, I'm sure many of us will find it much easier and much faster. If you get it up to 45, so that you finish, make sound or raise your hand. Okay? Already? Oh wow, that's a fast one. That's in like 15 seconds. Okay, already? Oh wow, 20 seconds? So many of you? Wow, unbelievable. I see hands go up, it's only been 25 seconds. Most of you guys done in 20, 25 seconds of time. The purpose of the exercise is same task. When we know where to look, when we have an instruction on how to do it, we could all be more effective in actually getting the job done much quicker. That is the purpose of training. Of course, today is going to be leadership training. Tomorrow, we're going to have a lot of basic fundamentals of how to build Riman business for everybody, thousands of people that's going to be coming to the event tomorrow to actually get clear instruction and guidelines on what they could do in Riman to have more success. That's what we're going to be doing this weekend at the convention. So basically, I can tell you right now, the benefit of training, you can stop the music, benefit of the training is basically to save you time. Training saved us time. Training helped us to focus on the right box, the right activities, so we're doing the right things at the right time, and that is the purpose of training. Now, during the training today, especially during the leadership training here today, here's something I want to encourage every single one of you to do. During the training, it is so easy, as we're listening to Mr. Chris Ken, or Mr. Steve Young, or Ms. Amber Liu, or Mr. Jackie Chen, it's easy to listen and hear an idea, hear a strategy, and say, hey, that's different than how I've been operating. And sometimes we beat ourselves up and say, I've been doing it wrong, or I haven't been doing it good. What I would encourage you to do during the training is not to focus on what in the past of how you've done it, or what you have done wrong, or what you haven't been doing good. I want to encourage you to focus on the future of what you could do in present, of how you can start implementing everything you're learning here today and what you're going to learn this weekend. So during the training, don't look backwards and don't think about last week and last month. Let's focus on the present and how you can create a better future going forward. One last thing I want to say, and as we get ready to bring up the next part of the event, is that this formula is something that I was taught many years ago, and after understanding this formula, everything has changed for me. I used to think that what happens to you determines the outcome in your life, until my mentor set me down and said, Danny, it's not about what happens to you, it's what you do about what happens to you that will determine the outcome of your life. He said if different events occur in life, it's not the event itself that's going to have an impact in your life, it's how you respond to the event that will always control, that will influence the outcome of whatever event that takes place. Same thing could happen, but when that event happens, somebody, if they respond in a certain way, it could be a reason for them to get discouraged. But if you respond in different way, it could be a reason for that person to actually be encouraged instead of discouraged. So there's an old saying that it's not, things don't happen to you, but things happen for you. And I believe that if you have the right mindset to respond in every situation correctly, you could be fully in control of the outcome of every situation that possibly happens in your life. Now, how many of you guys are ready to get this leadership training started? How many of you guys are ready? How many of you guys are ready? Let me hear you if you're ready. How many of you guys are ready to get this training started? All right. The very first trainer that we're going to have to kick off this event is going to be a very powerful, he's going to be sharing a very, very powerful message with you because he's going to be talking about how to build global business. So before that, at this moment, we're going to actually hear from our Chief Sales Officer, our Global Expansion CEO. He's going to be sharing with you his vision and the appreciation for the leadership team in Asia. And we are so appreciative for his leadership and everything he does for all of us in the marketplace. And I can honestly say, if you look at this gentleman, Riman Global Expansion will never happen. It's his vision that started the expansion of Riman being in where we are right now. So can we all stand up and welcome our Chief Sales Officer, our Global CEO of Global Expansion, Mr. Young-Soo Hong. Can he come on stage? Can you give Mr. Hong
네, 감사합니다. 오늘 마카오 컨벤션 트레이닝에 먼저 참석해 주신 우리 아시아 리더 여러분들 환영하고 축하합니다. 우리는 리만이라는 연결고리 안에서 모두들 성공을 꿈꾸기 위해 이 자리에 왔습니다. 여러분들도 같은 생각이시겠지만 성공하기 위해서 가장 먼저 해야 될 것은 무엇일까요? 저는 이 시대의 흐름, 즉 트렌드를 잘 파악해야 된다고 생각합니다. 그리고 두 번째, 내가 바로 그 트렌드에 맞는 일을 지금 하고 있는지가 더 중요하겠죠. 전 세계 트렌드는 누구도 부인하지 못하게끔 K 트렌드, K 컬처, K 뷰티입니다. 리만은 K 뷰의 선두주자입니다. 또 리만은 그런 트렌드를 이끌 수 있는 능력을 가지고 있습니다. 트렌드만 본다고 해서 모두 다 성공하는 것이 아니다. 그 트렌드를 내 것으로 만들 수 있는 능력이 있어야 될 텐데요. 리만은 최고의 능력을 가지고 있는 케이블이 다이렉트 셀링 컴퍼니입니다. 우리는 여러분께 최고의 믿음, 트러스트를 제공하고 우리는 여러분께 최고의 상품을 제공합니다. 우리는 여러분께 최고의 컴펜세이션 플랜을 제공합니다. 그런데 무엇보다 더 중요한 것은 이러한 믿음, 동심 이러한 컴pen세이션을 나의 성공의 결과로 만들어낼 수 있는 시스템이 중요합니다. 여러분 다 알고 계시겠지만 시스템은 간단하고 시스템은 반복할 수 있어야 되며 시스템은 복제 가능해야 합니다. 리만이 가지고 있는 시스템은 세계 최고의 시스템이고 그 시스템의 정점은 컨벤션에 있습니다. 여러분들이 이 컨벤션을 통해서 세계 최고의 시스템을 여러분 것으로 만들어낸다면 여러분의 성공은, 여러분의 패밀리, 여러분의 파트너의 성공은 이미 보장되었다고 생각합니다. 그리고 여기 계신 모든 분들이 그 시스템을 함께 만드는 주역이라고 생각하고 지금까지 아시아 글로벌 비즈니스 2년 동안 만들어주신 여러분께 진심으로 감사드립니다. 땡큐!
Thank you very much, Mr. Wang. Thank you very much. Do we love Mr. Wang? No? Do we love Mr. Wang? Do we appreciate Mr. Wang? Can we give Mr. Wang another big hand for showing our appreciation for everything he does for us in this field every single day? I have never met an executive that truly cares about the field, truly cares about the leadership, truly cares about every marketplace that we're operating in. He was just in UK, United Kingdom last week. He was in Philippines the week before. He's been at every single marketplace that Riman has been expanding for the past couple of years, and we truly appreciate his leadership. Now we're going to start the training probably now with some content and some practical ideas and strategies that you can implement in your business right away. The first topic we're going to be talking about is what's called building your business. Now, how many of you want to build a big business, strong business, solid foundation business in Riman? Anybody show of hands? Okay. We all want to build a strong, powerful, solid business in Riman Opportunity. And today, talking about building your business, we're going to be talking about these three things within building your business. We're going to be talking about a topic called recruiting pipeline. We're going to be talking about a topic called becoming a professional in all we do. And we also are going to be talking about a key word in our business that you hear a lot, which is called the momentum. Can everybody say the word momentum with me? Tell the person sitting next to you, momentum. Momentum. And if you're not familiar with the word momentum, you want to get familiar with momentum, because momentum is going to be your best friend as you start building your Riman business. So now let's talk about Riman System. Let's also say this word to the person sitting next to you, system. System. Okay, Riman has a system. Riman has a system that is duplicating in all the marketplaces, which bases on these three activities that we do every single day, which is presentation and orientation and K-pop, and also K-pop with retail and getting customers. You know, in Riman, presentation is how we introduce Riman, and orientation is how we train Riman, and K-pop is how we experience Riman, and it's the repeating repetition of this cycle is how the Riman system generates a certain amount of results and creates your business. So if you want to go out there and build your business to large scale, it is extremely important that we master these three activities, which is presentation and orientation and K-pop. And all of us as team leaders and directors and senior directors and national directors, these are most of our activities are based on doing presentations and orientation and K-pop for us to build our business at our scale. Now, what we're talking about is building our team, but doing it a little more successfully, doing it a little more efficiently, and doing it a little faster, just like we looked at the lines earlier, with proper instruction, being able to get the most amount of results in the fastest amount of time. Now, so let's talk about building our team building, building our business. There are, in my opinion, 3 different types of signing up process. When we're enrolling someone into your team, when you're getting a new planner, new business partner in your business, there are 3 different scenarios. Sometimes some people are focused on just getting them signed up, just to sign them up. And if they sign up, they feel like I am building my business and I got a business partner. Or, second scenario is someone that focuses on, hey, I'm going to sign them up, but I'm going to have them also purchase some product and possibly get a starter kit. And so signing up and purchasing product is a second scenario of signing someone up. Third scenario is someone that is looking and focused on finding a running partner. Not just to sign up, because let me ask you a question. How many of you had business partners, they signed up, but they don't do anything? How many of you guys have people like that in your team? By show of hands. How many of you have people in your team, they signed up, but they don't come to an event? They don't show up on Zoom. They don't do K-pop-up. They don't go to orientation. How many of you guys have a partner like that? How many of you, by show of hands? Oh, many of you. How many of you wish you could lower that number of people who fall in that category and get more people to become a running partner, running business partner that's actually being productive with you doing a lot of activities? How many of you guys want to get more people that signs up to be a running partner and actually do a lot of activities? By show of hands, okay? All of us do, right? How many of you have people that signed up, they bought products, but they're still not at the next event? They signed up and they bought product, but they don't get on the Zoom event next time. They don't go to the convention next time. How many of you guys have people like that in your team? They signed up, they bought product, but they're not at the event. We have people like that, right? But what Riman in building business, what we want to focus on is not just someone that signed up, not just someone that buy product, but someone that actually becomes a running business partner that would actually do a lot of great positive activities with us. Would you guys agree with that? So let's talk about how we can get more people to become running partners as we build our business. Now, this is a pipe. Do you see a pipe? I like to monitor these building team activities in pipeline example. Because in pipe, we could actually see what goes in. The purpose of pipe is to put something in on this end of the pipe to get it to the other side. Get it to the other side of the pipe as much as possible. That's the purpose of pipe. Taking someone that doesn't know anything about Riman, they don't know anything about a product, they don't know anything about a business, they don't know anything about Riman, but getting them introduced to Riman and taking them through a process where they become a professional business partner that is a running partner, that is taking a lot of actions and activities with us. That is the recruiting pipeline. That's how you gain business partners, not just someone that signed up or just to buy the product. And that process is quite simple. It is a process of inviting them to look at a presentation so we can help them to make the right decision for themselves, which is closing. So we can help them to go to the training by promoting them to go to orientation and training so they can take action afterwards by setting up K-pop-ups and become a running partner in the business. And it is so important to understand the process of the recruiting pipeline, because if you understand the pipeline, you understand it's just a matter of, if I want more to come out here, I just got to put in more here. More people get invited to the presentation and go to orientation and take action of doing K-pop-ups, more running partners and more business partners are going to have. Less goes in, less is going to come out. More go in, more is going to come out. That is the beauty of building it with the understanding of recruiting recruiting pipeline. Does that make sense to you? Now, let's talk about another great reason why it is great to monitor your business as a pipeline approach. Pipeline, if you have a lot going in, if you have a number 10 going in, but if the other side you're not getting 10 out, or if you're getting 0 out, what does that mean? 10 goes in, 0 comes out, what does that mean? In the pipe there is a crack somewhere. Does that make sense? If water goes in here, but if water is not coming out here, what does that mean? There is a crack somewhere, water is going in, but it is leaking, it is dropping before it gets to the other side of the pipe. Does that make sense? So in building your Riman business successfully, it is important that we're monitoring. If nothing goes in, nothing comes out. But let's just say you invited 10 people. You invited 10 people to a presentation. But nobody showed up. Then where is the crack in the pipe? Invitation. That means invitation is not good. They're maybe saying something that's unattractive. They're saying maybe too much. And because of what they're saying, invitation isn't good. No one comes to a presentation. If that is the reality of my team, what should you do? You work on invitation. Does that make sense? You improve invitation with your team. Let's just say you invite 10, and many people come to a presentation. Presentation, you have 10 people there, but no one signed up, no one bought, no one get engaged. What does that mean? The pipe has a crack where the presentation is. Invitation is good, but presentation is not good, then what should you work on? You work on doing better presentation. Does that make sense? Now, invitation is 10, let's just say presentation is 10. 10 people sign up and your close is good. But what if no one shows up for orientation? No one goes to a training event. No one goes to the roadmap. What does that mean? Then promoting, and encouraging them to go to the training, that's where the crack of the pipe is. You focus on that part of the pipe and you make it better so it can continue to flow all the way to the other side instead of leaking and instead of dropping on the way before it gets to the destination. Does that make sense to you? Is the translation okay? Can you hear? You sure? Because some of you are looking at me like I'm a mind reader. Like you're just looking at me like this. I'm asking you a question, you don't respond. It's like me saying, "That's not how," or "Ni hao ma," and you're just. I would appreciate it if you answer, so I know you're getting this, so we can have an interactive conversation training. Does that make sense? Is that okay? All right. So I would appreciate it if we could talk together. All right. So pipeline is how I always monitor my business because I know once the pipeline, me knowing that there's no crack in the pipe, every part of the pipe there's no crack. Once I know that, that means I just gotta focus on doing what? Put more in. Put more in, and more is gonna come out. Put more in, more is gonna come out, and that's what we want to focus on as you're building your business. When you look at and monitor, especially as a team leader, as a director, as a senior director, as a leader, as you start building your own business and start monitoring your business as a pipeline approach, it is very, very easy to duplicate. Easy to monitor, and anytime you find a crack, it's easy to fix and easy to improve. And that is the reason why at least once a month, and at least once a week, that you should be monitoring the activities of your team and see if you're doing the right activities and if you're getting the results that you're actually deserving. Now, let's talk about how to make it better. Once you start monitoring your business, now here's what's going to happen. For you to build your business with a recruiting pipeline approach, you got to know your activities. You know, sometimes how many of you had a conversation with your partner, your teammate, and you asked them, there's a presentation, you asked them the question, Amber, how many people do you have coming? How many of you ever had someone answer like, a lot of people? A lot of people. They don't give you a number, they said a lot of But once you start monitoring, hey, I invited 10 and 5 people came. 5 people came, 2 people signed up, and 2 people had some questions. You know, once you start monitoring your numbers, what's really good is once you know your activity numbers, and once you know your percentages of how many people that actually invite, show up, sign up, purchase, and purchase, take action. Once you know your activity number, and once you know your percentages of each step, guess what you can do? Now you have the power to increase your numbers and increase your percentages because you actually know. It is impossible, listen carefully, it is impossible to improve if you don't know. When you go to the doctor, in Hong Kong, in Macau, in Taiwan, in Malaysia, in Singapore, in Korea, in the United States, when you go to the doctor, do they just say, how are you feeling? And you say good, bad, and they just decide based on their words? Or how many of you ever got tests done? And when you do the test of blood sugar level, or cholesterol, or your liver, or whatever, when they run the test, what comes out? Do they give you a report with stories, or do they give you a report with numbers? Numbers or stories? Numbers, right? They said your heart is good, or your liver is good, or maybe your blood sugar level is not so good, or whatever it may be, they give you numbers. You gotta know your number for you to make it better. True or not true? Very true. So you want to get good at knowing your numbers, and that's the easiest way to do it is by approaching it as a pipeline so you can monitor the activities of the invitation, presentation, closing, and promoting, and training and orientation, and taking actions of paid pop-up. Now, let's talk about the progress of everybody starting as a beginner, but the journey that you go on to becoming an amateur and eventually becoming a professional level in Riman building business so you can get the most amount of results in the shortest amount of time possible. Now let's talk about it. Now we're going to talk about these numbers, okay? We're going to talk about it like it was a pipeline. Let's just say that your goal was to create 30 senior managers in your team, okay? Because what I realized through our career, and as we work with different teams and different leaders around the world, you know, there is a percentage. What we have seen is that when people just get started in the beginning, whatever they invite, how many other people they invite, usually about 25% of the people show up to a presentation. They invite 10, 2 or 3 people come. You know, and whenever they have people come to presentation, 10 people see the presentation, about 10% actually sign up and purchase and engage in the business. And what happens is about 10% of the people that sign up, they go on the journey, the training and such to become a senior manager eventually. That is the average. Of course, every scenario is different. Average overall, that's what we see. But once people start becoming what we call amateurs, which means you're making money. Beginner, when you play soccer in your neighborhood, football, you don't make money. Beginners don't make money. Amateurs get paid. Amateurs get paid, and amateurs, what we have seen is when you invite, they get about 50% to show up. What is the difference between beginner and amateur? It's not skill. It's not how long they've been doing it. Someone could join today and be at the amateur level of making money right away. How? If you start counting the numbers, if you start looking at the numbers, I believe that you fall into the category of amateur right away. As soon as you start counting the numbers, not just saying that a lot of people are coming, a lot of people get invited, everybody signed up. If you actually said, okay, we invited 7, 4 people came. We invited 20, and 10 people came. If you start counting the numbers, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to increase that 25% show-up ratio to about 50%. Because you don't like it. You invite 10, and only 2 come, you're like, hey, I got to do better. You're like, man, what am I saying, and how can I say it better? And next time you do it, you're going to increase it to 50%. When you are looking at your numbers, in average, most leaders go up to a 30% sign. When 10 people see the presentation, instead of only 10% joining, about 30%, 3 out of 10 people sign up, and instead of only 10% You know, when you have the national directors and senior directors that are sitting up front, when you see them, they invite 10 people, 75% of them show. They invite 10, 7, 8 people show. They show the business to 10 people, 50% of them sign up. When 10 people sign up, 30% of them become senior managers or higher, and more higher percentage of people achieve success. Now, why is this important? Why are we talking about this? Let's just say the goal was all of us to start a new team and try to get 30 senior managers in your team. Is that okay? Let's just say that was the goal. If you want to get 30 senior managers in your team, let's see how many people you have to invite, and you have to invite and present, and how many people you have to do these activities with for you to get 30 senior managers. If you apply the professional level 75%, 50%, and 30% example, you only have to invite 267 people to a presentation to get 200 people to sign up. 200 people to show up with 75%, and after 200 people show up, 50% sign up. That's 100 people joining, 30% of them becoming senior manager. You only need to sign up 100 people to get 30 senior managers. 267 is not a lot. If your whole team invited 10 people a day, in a month you're going to have 300 people being invited to come learn about the presentation of Riman. Does that make sense? So it's not a lot. It's very simple to do. At the professional level, 267 to get 30 senior managers, which is a lot of volume. 30 senior managers, you know what that means, right? 30 senior managers simply means you got almost a couple 100,000 SPs of business happening in your organization. Think about it. Helping a couple 100,000 SP. Let me ask you a question. If you're a team leader right now here, if you're a director right now, how many of you want over 200,000 SP of business happening in your business every single month? Let me see your hand. How many of you want a minimum of 200,000 SP or more in your business every month? None of you. Alvina's arm is like literally about to pop up. She's raising her hand so high. You know, so how do you do it? Help 30 people to become senior managers. How do you get 30 people to senior managers? Go out there and have about 267 invited if those are the percentages that you're working under. But let's just say that you're not quite there yet. You don't get 75% to show, you only get 50% to show. You know what that means? Then you need to have 1,000 people invited. 1,000 people invited. That's a lot, right? Now, it's still possible. Still possible if every day in your team, enough people are inviting, where there's 30, 40 people being invited every day, in a month of time, you could have 1,000 people being invited to come look at a presentation. Through those percentages, you can still get senior manager. It's possible, but it's 4 times more work. It's 4 times more work to get the same results. Let me ask you a question. To get same results, to create same activities, same volume, same success, how many of you would rather do 4 times less to get the same amount of success? Or the same amount of activities to get 4 times more success? How many of you guys want that to happen in your team? Well, that's the beauty of us working on ourselves to increase our percentages as we start monitoring our business. So that's okay. Amateur numbers are okay. But here's the challenge, here's the problem, here's what's difficult. The beginner number is very difficult. Because at 25% show up, and 10% sign up, and 10% getting promoted to senior manager, guess how many people you have to invite to a presentation to get 30 senior managers? Guess how many? 12,000 people. 12,000 people. 12,000 people is a lot of people. 12,000 people is too much. 12,000 people is too many. 12,000 people is impossible to talk to in 1 month of time with just me and 10 of my friends trying to go out there and get 30 senior managers. It's not possible. It doesn't seem like a big difference, but it's a huge difference. It's 12 times more work to get the same results. And as I explained earlier, beginner and amateur, the difference is in skill, difference is in how long you've been doing Riman, Only thing that is different is what? Knowing your number or not knowing your number. Tracking my numbers or not tracking my numbers. Knowing my activity numbers, not knowing my activity numbers. Knowing my percentage of how many people show up, how many people sign up, and not knowing how many people show up and how many people are signing up. Does that make sense to you? Now, after looking at this, how many of you think it's a good idea to keep track of your activities and keep track of your percentages of actually understanding how your business is running? How many of you guys think it's a good idea by show of hands? How many of you think it's a bad idea and you should continue to not count any numbers and track any numbers as you build your Riman business? Nobody. How many of you rather invite 12,000 people rather than only a couple hundred people to get the same results? Nobody. Nobody will. And that is the beauty of monitoring and building your business by looking at it as a pipeline system. So now let's talk about this. How do you get more people that engage, that comes to a presentation, that goes to orientation, and that goes through the K-pop activities? How do you get them engaged? Once they sign up, once they become a running partner, how do we get them more productive to have more success in a short amount of time? It is very important to understand that there is a time extension point, checkpoint that they go through, and you want to do your absolute best to help them create those results in first 48 hours. In first 48 hours after they engage and they sign up, it is absolutely important that they have a second exposure and they have a positive experience. Maybe it's trying a product. Maybe it's them coming on a Zoom event or office event or different event to have a second exposure to be reminded and be exposed to the Riman opportunity more. But within 48 hours, you want to make sure there's a positive activity, so the excitement and the vision of them starting Riman can continue. Because that's what happens. Sometimes people see the opportunity, they're excited, but they don't do anything, and 2 days later, they forgot that they were excited 2 days ago. How many of you guys have ever experienced something like that before? You're watching a movie, you see something interesting, you're like, oh my gosh, I want to eat it. It's like watching a movie and they're eating the most amazing pecking duck ever. Anybody like pecking duck? Nobody? Who likes pecking duck? Raise your hand if you like pecking duck. Okay, different example. Who likes a dim sum? Anybody like dim sum? Beef noodle? Okay, beef noodle. We use beef noodle. Okay, beef noodle. Have you ever watched a movie or a drama, Netflix, and they're eating the most amazing looking beef noodle? They're literally water coming out of their nose. It's so good. How many of you ever watched something like that and you're like, I want some beef noodle? How many of you ever experienced something like that before as you're watching it? So what happens is when you watch it, you think it, you're like, I want it. But what if you don't eat it that moment? You don't take action of how you feel at the moment. Tomorrow, 2 days later, you forget. 3 days later, you forgot that you felt that way and you're not chasing after beef noodle. Same thing happens here. They get excited when they see Riman. They get excited when they first hear about Riman. When they first use the product. But if there's no positive activity happening in the first 48 hours, it's very easy. There's an old saying, out of sight, out of mind. If they're not seeing it and experiencing it, it's very easy for them to discontinue being productive. So you want to create a very positive experience in the first 48 hours by exposing them to second event or exposing them to a K-pop orientation, a presentation, or a Zoom event, or experiencing the product more. First 30 days, to get more time extension, you want to help them to achieve a little bit of success. Maybe it's becoming a manager. Maybe it's becoming a senior manager. Maybe it's getting their first 1,000 SP out of the way. Maybe it's them earning their first commission, first retail commission, first sponsorship commission. Whatever it may be, you want to make sure that they're experiencing a little bit of success, some level of success in the first 30 days, so they can continue being excited in being a running partner and a business partner. And the next checkpoint is first 90 days. In the first 90 days, first 3 months in the business, if you could get them to a team leader, if you could get them to their manager, if you can get them to experience a higher commission and higher experience and have a complete transformation of their skin condition, that's going to continue the momentum, and time extension is going to happen, momentum is going to continue and accelerate. Now, talking about building your business, I want to also talk to you a little bit about building with successful, building the with of your organization successful. Sometimes you recruit one person, and that one person takes off and they're doing great. And it's so easy to get caught up with all the activities with one group that we forget that we have to build multiple buildings. We have to have multiple buildings. We have to have multiple teams. We have to have multiple leaders to actually build a city, build a business, not just one. If your band only has one building, you don't call that a city. If you only have one team, you don't have a complete full picture of business yet, and you're going to miss out on the big portion of the opportunity. So you want to build with. And how do you build with? Here's what I know. If you already have one team going, if you already have one person doing well, and you got one good running partner, you know, guess what? Second time you do it, here's the good news. You are better than the first time you did it. Let me ask you a question. If you've been with Riman for 2 months, or 3 months, or 6 months, or 1 year, or 2 years of time, how many of you agree today you have more experience than you did when you first started? How many of you guys agree with me? All of us have more experience today than we did last week, and last month, and last year. So what that means is you should be better. You're better today than you were last month. Tell the person sitting next to you, you are better today than you were last month. Tell the person sitting next to you. You can say it in your own language. You can say it in Mandarin, you can say it in Cantonese, you can say it in Korean, you can say it in English, it doesn't matter. Tell the person sitting next to you, you are better today than you were last month. And that is the truth. You need to recognize that you're better. And number 2 is you are more experienced today than you were last month. Number 3, you want to lead by example. You want to lead by example and show your team that you're doing the activities that you're asking them to do. And number 4, you want to keep strong income, because open group and also sponsorship commission is also a high percentage in our compensation. So you want to make sure that you're doing the activities to keep your income strong as you're building multiple teams and building multiple buildings, building multiple leaders in your organization. Does that make sense to you? So you want to build with multiple leaders coming in your organization. You know, take a look at incredible leadership of Riman Macau. We have senior directors, national directors, and they're doing incredible things in the English marketplace. And I can tell you right now that so many, one thing in common about every senior director and every single national director in the market in Asia is the fact that they have multiple teams that they're building, and they're developing multiple leaders and building with as they're building the depth and the strength of their organization. But you cannot just build with, you gotta build strong depth. And let's talk about building depth. Number 1, you wanna have a habit, and you wanna have a mentality of keep digging. What does that mean? Keep digging means you understand what I call it the 10th level magic. I'm going to be talking about it in a second. I believe in our business there is what's called 10th level magic. Whenever you recruit someone, when you sign someone up in your business, of course we want that person to do extremely well. But I believe there's magic in digging. There's a power in digging and searching to meet the 10th level person in that team. I believe completes the initial beginning of team building and finding a superstar in that team. What does that mean? I'm going to talk about it with some examples in just a couple more minutes, okay? So the 10th level magic, remember as we go through it in a few more seconds. Because through that, you can find the one, okay? In my experience, most of the teams we started, within the first 10 levels, you always find the one that's going to be a power leader, super leader in that team that's going to eventually become director, senior director, national director, and be an incredible leader in your organization. Let me ask you a question. How many of you want to have a lot of leaders in your team? By show of hands. How many of you would love to have someone like Mr. Chris Kent in your team? How many of you would love to have someone like Mr. Steve Young in your organization? How many of you would love to have someone like Ms. Amber Blue in your organization? How many of you would love to have someone like Mr. Jack Chan in your organization? How many of you would love to have all these incredible leaders in your organization? You want more leaders in your team to find one. You want to get very good at digging and searching, and we're going to talk about it with some examples in a minute. You want to build a strong leg, not just a one person. You know, we call it a leg in Riman business, right? When you have a strong team, we call it a leg. How many legs do you have? We have those conversations. And I tell them, recruiting somebody and signing someone up, you don't have a leg. When you sign someone up, I tell them, what you have is a toe. A toe. They're not a leg, they're a toe. I believe a leg gets built after you meet the 10th level person. It starts as a toe, the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10 people get started in the team. I believe that's when your leg actually begins to go out there and find the one and build a strong team. Now, let me give you some examples. I want to give you an example of a number one customer acquisition leader in Riman, North America. The number one customer acquisition leader in Riman, North America, her name is Kimberly. You know, works with Mr. Chris Kent, and Kimberly is an incredible story. Guess how many personal customers, not recruits, personal customers that she has as a personal customer that buy product from her? Over 5,000 personal customers. Now, it didn't happen overnight. You know, in the past year and a half of time, every month, she is getting new 200 to 500 new customers, and that has built up in the past year and a half. Now she has over 5,000 personal customers that she's getting commission from buying new customers. She's an influencer. You know, she's got 800,000 followers. She makes videos, teaching them how to do skincare ritual, how to do makeup, and she's having incredible success with it, and it's hard. Let me ask you a question. How many of you want someone like Kimberly to show up in your business? How many of you want someone like Kimberly in your team? It's okay, raise your hand, you're on. Okay? How does Kimberly show up? Where do they come from? Can I show you? Kimberly was introduced by someone named Courtney Spencer. Now, Courtney Spencer doesn't have 800,000 followers, but she has about 300,000 followers. Still a lot, but not 800,000. But where do you find someone like Courtney? Well, Courtney was found by someone that only had 100,000 followers, Kate, who introduced Courtney. But where does Kate come from? Kate was introduced by Lori, who has about 120,000 followers, and all of them are actually influencers. They're beauty influencers. They make videos, they make tutorials, and they get a lot of customers by just sharing on Instagram. Now, some people, they say, after watching something like this, they say, man, I need to get good at making videos. I need to become an influencer. No, you don't have to become an influencer. No, you don't have to make that happen. Why? Because here's the reason why. Because Lindsay, the Lori was introduced to Riman by Lindsay, who only has 26,000 followers. And Lindsay is not one of those powerful influencers that's making videos and content all the time. But guess how Lindsay was introduced to Riman? Lindsay was introduced to Riman by Christy. Christy only has 2,000 followers. Now some of us can relate a little better. With 2,000 followers and make 800,000 or 300,000. How many of you feel a little better? Right? Now Christy is the reason why Lindsay and all of this happened. Now Christy, that's how Christy got introduced to Riman. Well, she was introduced by an incredible leader named Abby, who only has about 11,000 followers. Now, some of you may be like, I don't even have 11,000. I don't even have 2,000. Well, can I tell you? Abby was introduced to the business by someone that had less than 250 followers. And here's the crazy part. That person was introduced to Riman by someone about 150 followers. Think about it. 2 years ago when he introduced the person, didn't even have Instagram account. But today, through someone, recruited someone, Mr. Christian recruited someone that didn't have an Instagram account. But through that person, over time, found someone, and you know what that is? The first person to become a director in this chain was Kate. And right after that, Lord. You know what's so crazy? Is the introduction lineage. You know how it happened? Remember the 10th level magic we talked about? 10th level magic? Kimberly was the 10th level person of introduction when that leg started. That's what happens. If you want to find Kimberly, if you want to find Kate, if you want to find Lori, if you want to find Amy, that's where you start. So when you recruit someone, when you sign someone up in your business, don't just stop and go, hey, I got a leg, I got a leader, but you got to dig down to 10th level person so you don't stop at the toe. You actually create a leg and you keep searching for that leader that's going to do incredible things. I'll tell you another story. Let me tell you about our first expansion that happened in the Asia market, which was Taiwan. I talked to this person named Jay, okay? First initial of the first name is Jay. This person lives in Canada. And this person in Canada, Jay, started in the business and a little later introduced a person with the name that starts with T. And Jay introduced T to the business, not overnight. Jay introduced T to the business literally 4 months after Jay was already in the business. Why? Because we kept digging. Tell the person sitting next to you, keep digging in your own language. Keep digging. When you keep digging, 4 months later, Jay introduced T. And T, almost 5-6 months later, introduced someone who is here right now, visiting from Canada, named Sue. Where's Sue at? I think I saw Sue. Sue. Oh, Sue's right there. Hi, Sue. Everybody say hi, Sue. So, Jay introduces T. A few months later, T introduced Sue. A few months later, and a few months later, Sue hears that Riman is expanding into the Taiwan market. And for the first time in Sue's life, she flies to Taiwan with her husband, and she introduced a group of 2 of her friends. And one of the friends she brings to one of the very first presentations we had, I believe, on November 1st, which is 2 years ago tomorrow, brings a person named Ivy. And here's what happens. Ivy brings a person named Lisa. And Lisa brings somebody named Megan. Megan brings somebody named Amber. Amber brings somebody named Grace, who brings Gracie. And this is how this team has started. What's so incredible about this story is because someone from Canada, Jay, who introduced Tom, didn't give up. A few months later introduced Tom. And because Tom introduced Sue, a few months later, not right away, a few months later introduced Sue. And because Sue didn't give up, a few months later, kept hitting, kept doing it. And later, a few months later, introduced Ivy, who introduced Lisa. We got Lisa here. Can we say hi, Lisa? Who became the very first director in Taiwan. And Lisa, who introduces Megan. And Megan introduces Amber, who becomes the first national director, female national director from Taiwan. Everybody say hi, Amber. Consistently as a production eventually now when we're meeting the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth and the seventh and the eighth and the ninth, and most exciting time is when we are meeting the 10th level person, because there is a magic in finding 10 layers, 10 introduction levels of partners in a team, in a leg that's starting, because every single time you find a runner, you find a leader, you find somebody very special in the team. And because the momentum was created with Amber and Gracie and Downey and Racing, everybody, with the Riman business model, everybody got to benefit. Everybody got to win together. Everybody got to have success together. And that is the beauty of Riman business model. And that is why you want to get very good at building with, but also not just sponsoring someone, but really dig and search for the leader by developing depth into at least minimum of 10 levels as fast as possible for you to identify leaders in that way, in that team of your business. Does that make sense to you? I can promise you right now that if you're thinking, okay, I sponsored this one person A, I sponsored this one person B, I sponsored this one person C, and you think these three, the three people I talk to, three people I sponsor, it's going to be my top 3 leaders in our organization, I promise you right now, you're missing out on more than 99% of their success. You're missing out on 99% of their success if you're just sponsoring someone and thinking that that person will be the head leader, that person will be the main leader of that organization. You do it for that person, because if you build and identify and find and build a powerful team underneath, everybody above could benefit together, everybody could win together, and everybody can succeed together in Riman business. Does that make sense? Here's a question. How many of you want someone like Racing to show up on their 10th level? How many of you want someone like Amber to show up in your team? How many of you want someone like Megan and Lisa to show up in your team? So whenever you start someone, when you go live, when you build with and sponsor someone, remember the time extension. Remember the pipeline and search and search and search and find leaders in that organization. Now, I want to briefly mention a few points as a last part of my training before we introduce the next speaker about successfully participating in global expansion that Riman is doing right now. Can I ask you a question? How many of you want to have a global team in Riman? How many of you want to get compensated? How many of you want to benefit from more than just your hometown, but have business in multiple marketplaces and have a global team? How many of you by show of hands, okay? Most of you. Here are a few things and with the leadership group that I want to briefly talk about. Whenever you're building in different markets, when you're expanding, it is so important to remember. When you're expanding, you want to expand to add, not to replace. You want to expand to add. If I got a team in my local market I'm building, and you're expanding to a new expansion market, which tomorrow we have some great news for you. You're going to absolutely love the announcement when we talk about the global expansion announcements tomorrow. I wish I could tell you right now, but that one you're going to have to wait for tomorrow. But there are some really, really exciting things that's going to be talked about tomorrow about global expansion. But when you expand, you want to add, not replace. You don't go from doing a lot of activities here, and when you're launching a new market, now you move all the activities here, and you don't have enough activities happening where you were first. So every time you expand, don't replace, you want to make sure you're adding. Number 2 is you want to build anticipation. You want to have, remember this, building anticipation in new market expansion. It is the most powerful tool you could create. Let me give you an example. How many of you have ever seen, in person or story, of people waiting in line for hours to buy a new iPhone when an iPhone comes out the day that iPhone is doing? How many of you guys experienced It's the anticipation. Something new is happening. I cannot get it yet until that moment. That is called anticipation. And anticipation is the most powerful tool in launching into the new market. What am I talking about? If we haven't launched their market yet, the greatest tool you're going to have is to create anticipation before we open. If we haven't launched the market yet, but if you find a way to already sign people up somewhere else, and you already get products there, and you get them you give them an opportunity for them to get products and engage the business before we launch the market. When we're about to launch in December, we're about to launch the first quarter, it seems like you're having a head start. In many cases, what we're doing is actually taking away the opportunity to create anticipation before we launch the market by letting them figure out a way to, get products and things like that prior to us actually entering into the market. So yes, you have to keep people flying into the market we're in, experiencing products and things like that is great. But as far as building team, as far as ordering products and actually sharing at large scale, it is better to create anticipation, build up anticipation, where during a period of time, 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, everybody wants to buy, everybody wants to join, but they cannot yet because we haven't launched yet. When that anticipation is built up, when we were launching, on December 5th, we started the website, when people could order, when people could sign up. Anticipation was so built up that literally first day, Mr. Frank was there, he knows, literally first day, literally thousands and thousands of enrollment and orders came in because people have been wanting. People have been wanting to get the product. People have been wanting to sign up, and anticipation was built. When we were expanding into the home marketplace, people were built anticipation, where the first day, as soon as it was available, people rushed in because the anticipation was built. Now that we're in so many markets, sometimes we find ways that we have the access to maybe do it a different way, but I want to encourage you, the most powerful tool you're going to have is building anticipation in launching markets, and if you can maximize that and utilize that, you're going to have a greater success. Right action at the right time is extremely important when you're participating in expansion. Why? Because too early is actually worse than early. You want to move with company scheduling, because sometimes if you're doing it too early, it makes things difficult. It makes things harder than it should. It makes things more unnecessary, uncomfortable process, for them to go through. So remember, right action at the right time is how you can have the most amount of success in the shortest amount of time and move with company schedule. Search for leaders in new expansion, not just people to participate. It's not the market that you live in. It's not your home city. It's not where you live. You're not going to be there all the time. I want to encourage you to search for a leader in that market, not just someone to participate, or many people to participate, so you can duplicate the system and actually build successful business there. When you're expanding globally, it is also really important that it is not a leader dependent, but it's a system dependent. Because if it's a leader dependent, when you're there, you're going to have activities. But when you're not there, it's not going to have many activities. How many of you want different marketplaces that generate great success, where you don't live, you're not there all the time, but it is happening by itself all the time? How many of you guys want things like that happen? As Riman expands to more marketplaces, as we expand to more marketplaces in Asia, more marketplaces in Latin America, more marketplaces in United Kingdom and Europe, how many of you want to have your business grow in marketplaces where you're not physically there, you're not living there, you're not being there dependent, but they are having a system run and operate in all the marketplaces, and success is happening everywhere? Only your business is built on system dependent, not leadership dependent, and not individual dependent, and that's how you're going to make that happen. Intentionally, and here's one last thing I want to share with you, two last things I want to share with you. Intentionally, you want to start creating success stories in your market. There's a difference between just happening versus intentionally creating stories. When you're expanding into new market, looking for new leaders, developing new leaders, you want to intentionally create the first senior manager story, intentionally create the first team leader story, intentionally create best before and after transformation product stories, intentionally create the first director story. If you can intentionally create the best success stories possible in a new market, it's going to set the standard and it's going to give you the opportunity for you to be able to really build a successful team in your market. Now, last but not least, in expansion of new marketplaces, the one leader, the main leader that you're finding in the market, the main people that you're investing your time and energy into, you gotta have the right conversations. Manage expectations. Teach them to expect the unexpected. Teach them to be a pioneer. Don't expect everything to be perfect. Realize that not having it means opportunity. It's not set up yet means opportunity. It being you is opportunity. No one in that market has become a director yet. It's not a problem. It's an opportunity. No one in that market has become a national director yet. It's not a problem. It's an opportunity. No one in that market has succeeded at a large scale yet. It's not a problem. It's an opportunity. It's a market. We don't have a good system yet. It's not a problem. It's an opportunity. You know, customer service is not great yet. It's not a problem. It's an opportunity. You know, we don't have offices in some of the markets yet. It's not a problem. It's an opportunity. Pioneer is someone that sees before it happens, that understands the vision more than what they see with their eyes. And if you can teach to have the right pioneering mindset in the beginning to manage their expectation, expect the unexpected, and don't expect things to be perfect, but have them have thick skin. Have them have thick skin to actually go through being a pioneer. Their opportunity is going to be greater than any other time as people participate in the future. Yes, there is bigger opportunity for people that are involved in the beginning, but it is true, there is a higher price to pay, and yes, it is harder to participate as a pioneer. Moving into a city that already has the roads and the water and the electricity is much easier, but the opportunity is much bigger when you are part of developing a city from the beginning, developing a market from the beginning, and every single one of us can make that happen. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense? Did you guys get some good ideas about building your business more efficiently, more successfully in a shorter amount of time? I believe that you did, and we're really, really excited. Now, my portion of the training is done here, and I want to introduce you to the next speaker, which I have so much respect for. This gentleman came all the way from California in the United States, and he has an incredible system that he is building. He has participated in incredible teams building in all the markets that are expanding, and he's going to be talking to you about building a global business and how to